طيب, inshallah, let's continue بإذن الله عز وجل. So Imam Ibn Rajab rahimahullah ta'ala, he expands further on the meaning of az-zuhd and what it means in Islam to be detached from the dunya. The next and the third component of az-zuhd is more of a moral one, because as we explained before, zuhd does not mean only being detached from material goods of the dunya. He says here, الثالث أن يستوي عند العبد حامده وذامه في الحق. That it is equal for you to be a zahid. You have to get to a level where it's the same thing. If someone praises you, says good things about you, or if someone criticizes you, says negative things about you, as long as, of course, it is the haqq, it is the truth. Barakallahu feek, jazakallahu khair, ahsanallahu ilayk. فإن من عظمت الدنيا عنده أحب المدح وكره الذم. He says that when someone has so much attachment for the dunya, well, one of the consequences of that is that they will love being praised. If someone loves being praised, or they don't accept at all when they say negative things about them, that's a sign that they are attached to the dunya عياذا بالله عز وجل. And as a consequence, فربما حمله ذلك على ترك كثير من الحق خشية الذم وعلى فعل كثير من الباطل رجاء المدح. So that's why some people, because of this, just like we said before, some people, because of wealth, because of material goods, we gave the example about someone at work, they don't want to do salat, or someone he's taking part, basically participating in haram things, in gatherings and parties and so on and so forth, not because he believes it's halal, but because he's hoping to get a better income, to get a raise, for example, or he is scared of being fired. So some people, their hope or their fear is not related to something material, to getting an increase or something. Some people, they are very sensitive to what people they say about them. So maybe he's not going to do something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants him to do or to say, because he is scared that people will say bad things about him. And that's so common nowadays, especially with the culture online, the social media and everything, where people, they try to please others. You know, people, they are going after likes and after followers and everything. So even unfortunately, a lot of people who are supposedly du'at, they're supposed to be callers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teaching the deen, or students of knowledge, talabatul ilm, instead of conveying the message that Allah Azza wa Jal told them to convey, the responsibility of the alim or the da'iyah or ahlul ilm, no, they are trying to see what is the trend. What is it that I should say that people will like it? You know, likes. That's a very dangerous thing. It means that this person is actually not a zahid. They are attached. Harisun ala dunya. They have an attachment to the dunya. Maybe they are not attached to wealth, to dollars, but they are attached to what? To the value, to being basically accepted by others, to being loved by others. When in reality, this should not be a thing for a Muslim, especially when it comes to the truth, to the haqq. What really matters is al-haqq. And also another example is the whole thing about peer pressure. So sometimes people, teenagers or students at school or even at work, they do some things that are haram, that Allah Azza wa Jalla is not pleased with, because they are, they feel like pressured. Everybody's going to be looking at me differently if I don't do it, if I don't say what they want me to say, what everybody else says. And that's not the mindset of a believer. That's why here he says, قال ابن مسعود اليقين أن لا ترضي الناس بسخط الله. He said, yaqeen, certainty, is that you don't please people by the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also, قَدْ مَدَحَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ يُجَاهِدُونَ فِي سَبِيلِهِ وَلَا يَخَافُونَ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. Allah Azza wa Jal praises in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَنْ يَرْتَدَّ مِنْكُمْ عَنْ دِينِهِ. Oh, Allah Azza wa Jal says to the believers that if you leave your religion, one of the reasons why people usually they leave their religion is because, again, of what other people think, of what other people say. It's pressure from outside. So he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jalla, if He wants, He can bring people, another nation, another community, that yuhibbuhum wa yuhibbunah. They love Allah Azza wa Jalla, Allah Azza wa Jalla loves them. And also, yujahiduna fi sabilillah, wa la yakhafuna lawmata لائم. They are not afraid of being blamed. لو. So sometimes we do something, nobody is gonna kill you or torture you, whatever. But sometimes you're scared of being blamed. People, they won't like it. They will say bad things about you. But who cares? In the haqq, in the truth, who cares really what people they say about you? If Allah Azza wa Jalla is pleased with you, that's what really matters. Now the next one. Let's take a few examples here, practical examples about az-zuhd. Again here, more statements of the ulama from the Salaf radiallahu ta'ala anhum. What did they say that az-zuhd is all about? Because this will help us again take it as a reference. Just like we mentioned before, many people, they think that az-zuhd is, he doesn't eat meat. He has a very simple lifestyle. He is a zahid. Not necessarily. So he says here, قال الحسن الزاهد الذي إذا رأى أحدا قال هو أفضل مني. He says Al-Hasan al-Basri, az-zahid is the one that whenever he sees someone else, meaning he sees another believer, he's talking about the believers here to be more specific, he meets another believer at the masjid, he sees them, he doesn't know him. In his mind he says, he's better than me. He's probably closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than I am. Because this is the meaning, this is one of the definitions, this is one of the signs of humbleness, التواضع, as the ulama they mentioned. هذا يرجع إلى أن الزاهد حقيقة هو الزاهد في مدح نفسه وتعظيمها. So this is another form of zuhd, which is the true zuhd contains also and includes having zuhd toward the status of myself. Because for many of us, our status is very important. We believe we are I'm a great person. يعظم نفسه. That is not zuhd. That is not zuhd. How I perceive myself, if I pump myself, I give this very high value to myself. I'm such a great Muslim, I'm such a great believer. And I don't think many people, they are like me. If someone has this mindset, this is not a zahid. Because this is an attachment to the dunya, even attachment to the status, to self-proclaimed high value. This is not zuhd, this is hirs. Because some people, believe it or not, some people, their shahwa, their pleasure is bigger in believing that they are great than it is in, for example, eating good food or having nice clothes. So some people, they are ready to sacrifice good food and nice clothes, but they are not ready to sacrifice that feeling inside that I'm the best, I'm the highest. That's why he says here, وَلِهَذَا يُقَالُ الزُّهْدُ فِي الرِّيَاسَةِ أَشَدُّ مِنْهُ فِي الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ. Like we said before, that's why never be in a hurry, never be deceived by someone, say, MashaAllah, he's such a zahid, look at his life. I went to his house, MashaAllah, everything in his house is very simple. Not yet. Don't be in a hurry to say he's a zahid, he's a MashaAllah. He says here, why? He said, they used to say, some of the Salaf used to say, Az-zuhd in ar-riyasa. Ar-riyasa means being the boss, being on top. You know that feeling of, I want to be, why is it that I'm not the president? Why is it that I'm not the one that speaks before everybody else? Why did they say Salaam Alaikum to other people before me? That's what? Ar-riyasa. Right? So why is it that people are not respecting me when I talk? They should not be talking to me like that. They should know who I am. That's called what? Ar-riyasa. And many people, they are ready to sacrifice gold and silver, but they are ready to fight for ar-riyasa. Many people through history, there are people who made actually wars, they caused wars just to remain, just to be what? The king, or to be the president or something. They were the cause of, even if people, they came to him and said, please, just leave this position, take the money, take whatever you want, just leave the position, please. Let somebody else take the position, they could do a better job. He said, no, I'm ready to burn the world. I will keep this. So this is what? الحرص على الرياسة. قال هنا فمن أخرج من قلبه حب الرياسة في الدنيا والترفع فيها على الناس فهو الزاهد حقا. He says whoever is able to take that out of his heart, الرياسة, take it, this love for highness, whoever is able to take it out of his heart, he is the true zahid. He is the true zahid in the dunya. وهذا هو الذي يستوي عنده حامده وذامه في الحق. This is the person for which whether people they like you or they don't like you, it doesn't really matter. This is what zuhd is all about in the end. وكقول وهيب ابن الورد الزهد في الدنيا أن لا تأسى على ما فات منها ولا تفرح بما آتاك منها. Also another example here, another statement in the definition of what az-zuhd is. He says, az-zuhd in the dunya is that you're not too happy with what you have, not too happy, not too glad, farah, you're not, and at the same time, you're not sad about what you have lost from the dunya. So what Allah Azza wa Jal has given you, we saw again, always we refer to it to see how great it is, how important it is. The story of Qarun that we covered 4 days ago. It's in Surah Al-Qasas. So in the Surah of the Quran, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ قَوْمُهُ لَا تَفْرَحْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْفَرِحِينَ. If someone has farah, they're like too happy, too excited for what they have, for what they own. They keep looking always and say, look at this great house that I have. Look how powerful I am. How many people have this? So he doesn't say, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me this, has given me more than He gave many other people. He says, like, he feels like he's so great. So if somebody is in this mindset, this is not zuhd. And also, someone who is what? يَحْزَنُ عَلَى مَا فَاتَهُ مِنْهَا. Someone who's always like thinking about what he missed from the dunya. Unfortunately, I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't have this, and I don't have that. That's why zuhd, by the way, somebody can have nothing, and he's still not a zahid. So, I'll mention here a hadith very briefly, hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, in which he says, ﷺ, إِنَّمَا الدُّنْيَا لِأَرْبَعَةِ نَفَرٍ. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, there are 4 types of people in this world. Number 1, a man to whom Allah Azza wa Jal has given wealth, mal, and ilm, and knowledge. So he is using his wealth the good way, because he knows what is good in life, what are the good values. So he is spending his money fi sabilillah, he's spending on his family, he is spending on his relatives, and he's giving charity, sadaqah. So that's, mashallah, that's top. And then he says, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, second type of people, someone who has knowledge, but Allah Azza wa Jal did not give him wealth. He has knowledge. He knows that it's good to do sadaqah, it's good to spend fi sabilillah, and he would love to be able to do it. He wants to go for Hajj, he wants to go for Umrah, but he can't afford it. But he says what? لَوْ كَانَ لِي مِثْلَ مَالِ فُلَانٍ. Only if I had the wealth of the other person, mashallah, he's going again for Umrah, mashallah, only if I had, the money so that I could go for Umrah also. He says, alayhi salatu salam, فَهُمَا فِي الْأَجْرِ سَوَاءٍ. They will be equivalent in the fact that they both will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Although the second one did not do much, but it's because of his intention. And then he says, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, type number 3, rajul, a man to whom Allah Azza wa Jal gave no knowledge, ignorant person, evil person. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him mal, wealth. So he's spending his money in the haram, day and night. He's enjoying the dunya with the haram. And then type number 4, he says, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, someone who has no knowledge, no values, he's an evil person, and at the same time, they have no wealth, they got nothing. So him is always wishing, لَوْ كَانَ لِي مِثْلَ مَالِ فُلَانٍ. If I had like number 3, oh, lucky him. Look, he's going to Mexico, he's going to Cuba, he's buying this, he can afford the best alcohol, he's going to the bars, and I don't have money to do what he's doing. Right? So he's saying, oh, only if I was like him so that I can enjoy what he's enjoying. So this guy, if you don't know him, you're going to think he's a zahid. You're going to think, look, he has a very simple life. But Prophet Muhammad said, فَهُمَا فِي الْوِزْرِ سَوَاء. Or كَمَا قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. They will be the same. They will be equivalent in how they are to be blamed in the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jal that they deserve. Because he wanted to be like that. So he's not a zahid. You understand? He doesn't have anything, he doesn't have much. It doesn't mean he's a zahid, because his heart is actually attached to the dunya, although he has nothing from this dunya. So he says here, وَسُئِلَ بَعْضُهُمْ أَظُنُّهُ أَحْمَدْ عَمَّنْ مَعَهُ مَالٌ هَلْ يَكُونُ زَاهِدًا قَالَ إِنْ كَانَ لَا يَفْرَحُ بِزِيَادَتِهِ وَلَا يَحْزَنُ بِنَقْصِهِ. He says, some of the ulama, he says, I believe it's Imam Ahmad, they were asked about someone who's very wealthy. They have a lot of money, mashallah. Can such a person be zahid? He says, yes, they can be a zahid if they are not happy with what they have, or sorry, they're not happy when if they're not happier if it increases, and they're not less happy if it decreases. Meaning he has wealth, mashallah, he has lots of money in his bank account. But if when the bank account, the balance goes up, he doesn't say, oh, today is a happier day. Or if the balance goes down, then today I'm feeling sad. If you're not like that, you can be a zahid. Even if you're very wealthy, you can be a billionaire and you are zahid in the dunya if that's your mindset, if that's that's your feeling inside your heart. وسئل الزهري عن الزاهد فقال من لم يغلب الحرام صبره ولم يغشغل الحلال شكره. Imam Zuhri, he was asked, who is the zahid? He said the zahid is the one that haram did not defeat his patience. Haram did not defeat his patience. And he says here, and halal did not defeat his gratefulness, his shukr. Meaning, if he has haram in front of him, dunya, but haram, his sabr is strong enough to keep him away from it. And if dunya halal is in front of him, it comes to him, his shukr, gratefulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is strong enough that his halal will not make him forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, sometimes the halal can be just, the dunya sometimes, even from the halal, by the way, when we say dunya, it's not always the haram. Sometimes we think the dangerous dunya is only haram. We think, oh, this is haram. So if this is halal, no. Even the halal dunya can be so bright, so powerful, next in front of our eyes, that we are going to be blinded. We forget the ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal. We forget, our values, and we forget our akhlaq and adab and so on and so forth. وقال قلت أو قيل لسفيان ابن عيينة من الزاهد في الدنيا قال من إذا أنعم عليه شكر وإذا ابتلي صبر. So Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he was asked, who is the zahid in the dunya? He says it is the one that if Allah Azza wa Jal gives him ni'mah, blessings, he will be grateful, he will be thankful. وَإِذَا ابْتُلِيَ, and when he is tested, صَبَرَ, he is patient. That's the zahid. This is the definition of the zahid. And also, Rabi'a, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, رَأْسُ الزَّهَادَةِ جَمْعُ الْأَشْيَاءِ بِحَقِّهَا وَوَضْعُهَا فِي حَقِّهَا. Rabi'a, he said, the beginning or the head of az-zuhd is what? To take from the right way and to put in the right place. Again, take from the right way, put in the right place. So if we give examples here, if I take my wealth, I take my money and I make sure I take it from halal. And then I put it, meaning I spend it in the halal, and I spend it also in where it should go. Like for example, if Allah Azza wa Jal gives me wealth, I have to pay my zakat. I should be helping some people who are maybe my relatives, my neighbors. So, الإنفاق في سبيل الله, he says this is an indication of zuhd. And also he says here, قال سفيان الثوري الزهد في الدنيا قصر الأمل. He said zuhd in the dunya is the short amal. Does anyone know what this means? What is قصر الأمل?
Short in your hopes.
Short in your hopes. What does that mean? What is it a reference to? This expression, what does it mean? تفضل? Yeah. Barakallahu fiqh, jazakallah khair. So the word amal in Arabic means hope. Okay, so qisarul amal, short hope. But this is an expression that you will find a lot in the Islamic books, in the words of the ulama and everything. It doesn't mean like hope, the general hope. Like our brother, he says here, that qisarul amal here, amal means how much do you expect to live? How long do you expect to live? If someone, in their mindset, they are always conscious that they know that they might die at any moment. So it's a possibility for them that maybe tomorrow they will die. We call this what? Qisarul amal. They expect death at any time. Tulul amal is when someone says, I'm so young, I'm so healthy, and my plans for the next 30 years, and then after this, and then my retirement, what I'm going to do with it, my plan, I'm going to buy some house in some island somewhere and everything, and then when my kids grow up, I'm planning to move to that city and everything. We call this what? Tulul amal. Is this a good thing?
No.
No. Very bad thing. So this is bil ijma'. There's no like, you will find it in all the books of Islam about tarbiyah. They talk about this because Islam teaches us to be ready for death at any time, and also life also teaches us this. So life is telling us the same thing. Life never. If we look at the reality of life, life is not lying to us. Did not tell us that you are going to live for a long time, guaranteed. There's not guaranteed. How many people die when they are young? A lot of people. Okay, so a lot of people, actually probably most people who died, who passed away, if we ask them just a few moments before they died, how long do you expect to live for? They're going to say for a long time. That's why a lot of people, they are ignorant, they are jahil, and they say, oh, he died too young. No, he died too young. He died at his ajal. Nobody died too young. Means that was the ajal and there was no way to change it. So here قصر الأمل, he says, Sufyan Thawri, الزهد in dunya is to have قصر الأمل, to not like look way too far, like in 20 years from now. That's how some people they think, like in 20 years from now, just waiting for something after and after and after, right? And some people even, that's the problem again with the entertainment world and the media nowadays and everything. Even what people they call sport. Okay, sport. They say sport. Like we had a few days ago, people they were busy with the World Cup and so on and so forth. They call this sport. Is it sport?
Yes.
Is it really sport?
No.
Sport is when you do sport, not when you sit down on your couch and you're drinking and you're eating very unhealthy food and cakes and cookies every day. And you're looking at someone else who's doing sports. That's called entertainment. That's not sport. So they're doing sport. We're not doing sport. Most people, it's not sport. It's not healthy. A lot of people they get like high blood pressure by watching these games, and they get very nervous and everything, and they're not eating good food, and they're drinking like all these like drinks and so on and so forth. So this is not sport. It's called entertainment. We have to make it very clear. Sport is when you go play. If you go play soccer or basketball, that's you're doing sport. That's different. But the problem is what? Look. This whole thing about entertainment is that once you get into it, it will build in you طول الأمل. Some people they say like 2 years in advance, I can't wait for the World Cup. And I can't wait for the Olympics, it's coming. And it's counting. So what happens here? We always live in the far future. Like we're waiting for something that's coming after. And then something coming after it. Okay, so people there's Black Friday, and then right after Black Friday, they say, okay, I'm gonna wait for the specials on Boxing Day. So he's waiting for 2 months after, for example. This is building طول الأمل. We're like jumping in the future, and that future, as you know, it came in the hadith of Rasulullah. I'm not going to mention it here because it's not part of the book. But in the hadith of Rasulullah, he described how a person, he draw something on the sand, like an example, to show it visually. How people, this is insan, human being, and he's like, he wants to reach over there, but there's a'rad, there's so many things on left and right. There's like a virus, and there's an illness, and there's an accident. If one misses you, and the next one one is going to get you one day. So we can't always live with that mindset of طول الأمل. That is not how Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam he taught us to live. قال سفيان الثوري الزهد في الدنيا قصر الأمل. He says الزهد في الدنيا is again having short hope here. قصر الأمل ليس بأكل الغليظ ولا بلبس العباء. الزهد, he says, is not to put very rough clothes on, because as we said, back in the days there were some groups and some Sufis and everything. They said to be zahid, I'm not going to eat meat anymore. Like no more meat, no more delicious food. And some of them, they used to put on purpose, to put very rough clothes, very rough, to pick clothes with very rough material so that it would hurt them. It would hurt their skin. They say, this way I'm not enjoying dunya. Okay? So this is not the way Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam he taught us to do. If this was the sunnah, he would have done it, alayhi salatu wasalam, and then we followed him. So he says here, قال وكان من دعائهم. This is very interesting. Please listen to this. اللهم زهدنا في الدنيا ووسع علينا منها ولا تزويها عنا فترغبنا فيها. He says here that it used to be part of the dua of the Salaf. Oh Allah, give us zuhd toward the dunya. And at the same time, it might sound contradictory. No, it's not. He said, oh Allah, give us zuhd in the dunya. And give us also a wide, comfortable dunya. وَسِّعْهَا عَلَيْنَا. Ya Allah, give now what? Sa'a. Sa'a is when, your dunya is good. Wasi'. Good, it doesn't mean you are in taraf, too good. That's different. Good, it means you're not having a tough life. You're not going through difficult, like always through difficulty very now. He says why? What is the idea here? If we continue the dua, وَلَا تَزْوِهَا عَنَّا فَتُرَغِبَنَا فِيهَا. And do not, Ya Allah, don't make dunya completely away from us, like that it's unreachable. Why? Because we will get attached to it. That's part of the human weakness, is that human beings, if we don't have something, we never tried it, we never saw it, we never experienced it, what happens here? Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. What happens? You really want it badly, right? The nafs wants it so badly. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? So, we are here in North America. Some other people, they live in Europe. Some Muslimin, for example, okay? But many of the people who live in Africa and Asia and so on and so forth, they really want to go live in the West, like so badly. They want to go live in Europe, like really they want, they want. Why? Because they believe it's like Jannah. If you go live in Europe, it's what? It's Jannah. It's like, it's the best life ever. Your problems will end. You will have such a beautiful life. And the thing is, many of them, they are ready to do anything, even if it's through the haram. Some people, they go through the Mediterranean Sea, they throw themselves in small boats like this, even if it's dangerous. I don't mind, he says. Even if I have a 50% chance of getting there, I will go there. If I die, then too bad. But I really want to go there. Go try to reason those people. Go try to explain to them. A lot of them, wallahi, they will not listen to you. If you try to tell, look, it's just life, it's just a different world. Yes, there's very good things, and there's what? Very bad things. And yes, life is, from a material perspective, life is very good for many people, but also life is very bad for many people. There's homeless people, there's people that don't find what to eat, there's people that don't find shelter, there's people that have problems, there's crimes, but many of them, no matter what you're going to bring them as a dalil, as an argument, he just wants to go and try. Why? Because it's a remote thing, it's far, you never seen it. So, and that's, this is asl fi at-tarbiyah. That's why in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he told us not to do karahbaniyati nasara. The Nasara, the Christian people, what did they do back in the day, centuries ago? They made on themselves haram, prohibited things that Allah Azza wa Jal made halal. What ended up happening? They ended up what? Many of them breaking all the frontiers after, all the limits, and going way further than the halal that Allah Azza wa Jal had given them initially. So that's why here, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us alayhi salatu wasalam to stick to his sunnah, to stick to what is what? Reasonable. عليكم من الأعمال ما تطيقون. Even in good deeds, by the way, good actions. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us to do good actions that we can afford, even that we are able to do. Not too many good actions of sunan. I'm talking here, of course, when I say too many, we're not talking about the obligations, right? The wajibat. The wajibat obligation is never too many. But we're talking here about sunan, the extra, more ibadah. Somebody wants to pray at night and wants to do siyam and everything. If you do so much of that you deprive yourself completely of the dunya, it's going to have what? The opposite effect on the long run. That's why he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, take the good deeds that you are able to do. Alaykum min al-a'mali ma tutiquna. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he did not give us the right, for example, to do what? To do siyamud dahr, to be fasting every day, all year long. Why? Because someone might say, no, I want to be, siyam is the best amal salih, one of the best amal salihah, so I want to do siyam every day. But then there's something inside the nafs saying what? Look at how people, they enjoy their life and they do this and at a certain point the nafs is going to say what? Too much. Enough is enough. Same thing with tarbiyatul abna, educating children. Some parents sometimes they have good intentions, but even very young children at a very young age, they say, I want to keep him away from what? From the dunya completely, because I want my son, for example, to grow up as a very tough, strong mu'min and everything. That's not a good thing, because it's like vaccine. You know the idea behind a vaccine? I'm not talking about the COVID vaccine, I'm just talking vaccines in general. It's like from the idea itself, okay? What's a vaccine? What is a vaccine? Yes?
Cure to disease usually.
It's a cure. It's more of a prevention. But how do they make it? Does anyone know the idea of the old time vaccines? Yes.
Vaccines like it's like the disease itself, but usually it's like a dead version of it, and they inject it into you so your white blood cells learn how to fight.
Jazakallah khair. So it's like a sample of the disease itself, okay? Like a small portion like this, something that's not gonna hurt you. That's why sometimes when you take a vaccine, you're gonna feel what?
A bit sick.
Bit sick after, because they give you like sometimes a bit of the virus or something, so it's gonna make you a bit sick, just a little bit. But then what happens here? The body gets used to it, so that when it comes in big portion like this, unexpectedly, it's ready to fight it. So this is the same thing. You say, Ya Allah, don't keep the dunya completely away from us, because we will feel like deprived, and then this is going to encourage actually al-hirs, going to develop this hirs attachment to the dunya. So قال هنا ووجه هذا أن قصر الأمل يوجب محبة لقاء الله بالخروج من الدنيا، وطول الأمل يقتضي محبة البقاء فيها، فمن قصر أمله فقد كره البقاء في الدنيا، وهذا نهاية الزهد في هوى الإعراض عنها. So here talking again about طول الأمل, قصر الأمل. The one who has طول الأمل, طول الأمل, he wants to live for long. It's as if he doesn't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's pleased with the dunya, he's attached to the dunya. And the one who has qisarul amal, who's expecting maybe to leave this world at any moment, he's not going to get attached to the dunya, because look, this dunya tomorrow maybe I will leave it. So I'd rather be attached to the akhirah and to meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ibn Uyayna rahimahullah ta'ala, he used as a dalil for this the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah of Banu Israel, قُلْ إِنْ كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ خَالِصَةً قُلْ إِنْ كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَالِصَةً مِنْ دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِنْ كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling them that if the akhirah is khalisa, what is khalisa? If the akhirah is only for you people, مِنْ دُونِ النَّاسِ, not like an-nas, not like, you know, because they said what they are. They said we are the chosen people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal, He chose us subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have the akhirah. We are the people of al-Jannah. We have Jannah with Allah Azza wa Jal. Other people, we have guaranteed Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, فَتَمَنَّوْا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. So you should wish for death, for al-maut, if you are truthful. Because listen, if I knew for sure that Allah Azza wa Jal has the akhirah for me, has Jannah for me, what am I doing in this life then? Right? Who would know for sure that, you know, he is a chosen person with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah is pleased with me, He loves me, and you know Allah is not going to punish me for sure. So what am I doing in this dunya? تمنوا الموت, he says, then say, Ya Allah, please make me go to akhirah as soon as possible. Like, why would I stay here tomorrow, be tired, feel tired, and feel, you know, exhausted, and I have things to do, and I'm so busy and responsibilities. Better go to the akhirah, right? So this is again related to the whole concept about طول الأمل وقصر الأمل. And Allah Azza wa Jalla also said about them, Banu Israel, وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَى حَيَاةٍ. You will see that Banu Israel, they are what? In reality, they are the people who love the most hayat, life, any life. Here, nakira, ala hayat, any life, just as long as I'm alive. So why are you so attached to living if you claim that, you know, Allah Azza wa Jalla has kept the akhirah for you? وَقَدْ قَسَّمَ كَثِيرٌ مِنَ السَّلَفِ الزُّهْدَ أَقْسَامًا. So some of the Salaf, they made kind of levels for zuhd. So these are the main levels of az-zuhd. فمنهم من قال أفضل الزهد الزهد في الشرك وفي عبادة ما عبد من دون الله. Some of them, they said the best zuhd is what? Is zuhd toward a shirk Shirk is polytheism. Zuhd in the other aliha, that people they worship along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see, in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, everything adds up. Everything, no matter how you look at it, it's always the same message. Because ashirk billah Azza wa Jal is the worst sin. أعظم الذنب عند الله سبحانه وتعالى is to worship other partners along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ashirku billahi Azza wa Jal. So, zuhd first of all is to have tawheed, to stay away from ashirk billahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because ashirk, for many people, ashirk, why do they worship other partners along with Allah Azza wa Jal? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their hearts is not sufficient for them. They do dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same time, some people they say, yeah, but you know, I still have to go ask some saint or some wali, right, to help me or something. Yeah, but didn't you just do dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla? Yeah, but I still have to ask, you know, I really want to make sure, so I'm going to ask some wali, some saint like this. The shirk billah Azza wa Jalla, and this is not zuhd. So you have an attachment to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then number two, the second level comes next. ثم الزهد في الحرام كله من المعاصي. And then to have zuhd toward all the haram, things that are prohibited, things that Allah Azza wa Jalla has made haram. And then number three, الزهد في الحلال وهو أقل أقسام الزهد. Number three, lowest level he says of zuhd is zuhd, detachment toward the halal. So you see here the common mistake that people they make whenever they talk about zuhd, they're thinking what? Zuhd toward halal, toward the halal. They say, as we said before, they say, mashallah, he's a zahid. He doesn't eat much. He doesn't spend much on his food, on his clothes. So, how are they perceiving zuhd here? He doesn't eat much, doesn't spend much on his clothes and on his food, but his income is from haram. Does that make sense? Is that a zahid? No, he's not a zahid toward the haram. He's attached to the haram. He takes his income from. So if someone takes haram, or worse, someone commits shirk, and then he is zahid in his food, in the halal, that's not called what? A zahid. That's a trick. That doesn't add up. The story itself does not add up. You understand here? So that's a very common mistake here that people they make. They only look at someone who is detaching themselves from the halal. They say he's a zahid, mashallah. How can you be a zahid when you're taking the haram? تظلم الناس تأكل أموال الناس بالباطل. You take people's money and you're frauding people and you're lying to people. That's not zuhd. عياذ بالله عز وجل. And he says here, وكان بكر المزني يدعو لإخوانه زهدنا الله وإياكم زهد من أمكنه الحرام والذنوب في الخلوات فعلم أن الله يراه فتركه. Bakr al-Muzani used to say to his friends, to his students, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the zuhd of someone who can commit haram in secret, in private, when they are alone, and they remember that Allah Azza wa Jal knows their situation and knows what they are doing, so they give up. They don't do the haram. That's the real zuhd as he presents here. وقال سلام ابن أبي مطيع الزهد على ثلاثة وجوه واحد أن يخلص العمل لله عز وجل والقول ولا يراد بشيء منه الدنيا. Salam ibn Abi Muti' he says also the first form of zuhd is what? Is to do actions that are khalis, sincere for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that your actions and your statements, you're not seeking dunya from them. Who can remind us? How can someone do an action or a statement but it's not for Allah? Who can remind us? We gave examples before, yes?
It's basically when you pray, but for the people.
So you pray but for the people. Excellent. Who can give us another example? Yes?
Give money just to show off that you're rich.
Okay, so you give money, you give charity just to show off that you are rich or that you are generous. Excellent. Barakallahu fiqh. Yes, go ahead then.
Leading prayer, this so you could show that people, if you have good sound, you just want to show off to people.
Jazakallah khair. Very good example also. So someone wants to lead salat, wants to lead prayer. Some people, they really want to lead prayer no matter what. They really want to. Like, I have to. Why? Because he wants people to hear his nice voice. Or he wants people to show his status. that he is respected, that everybody respects him, that he is more deserving of others. So this is not zuhd. As we said, this intention in itself is a form of al-hirs, of attachment to the dunya. قال هنا وقال إبراهيم ابن أدهم الزهد ثلاثة أصناف فزهد فرض وزهد فضل وزهد سلامة. Now Ibrahim ibn Abi Adham, listen to this one, he's given us another classification of zuhd. He says the first, the highest one, or the most important one to be more precise, is a zuhd that is an obligation. زهد فرض وهو الزهد في الحرام. The zuhd that we have no choice. So is zuhd an obligation? Do we have to be zahid as Muslims? Do we have to be zahid? Well, the answer is found in this answer, in this statement. Depends. Zuhd toward what? Zuhd toward the haram, he said, this is what? Obligation. Wajib. We have the obligation to have zuhd, to be not interested, to be detached from the haram. And then he says, وَزُهْدٌ فَضْلٌ. And there's another zuhd, which is what? The next form of zuhd is fadl, is extra, is bonus. You don't have to be zahid like that, but it's better if you can do it. And that's zuhd in the halal. Things that are halal, but you don't want to take too much of the halal. You're not too attached to the halal. That's not an obligation. And then he says, number 3, zuhdun salamatu. The third form of zuhd here he mentions is a prevention, just to be safe. And this is, he says, toward the shubuhat. Who can tell us what is shubuhat? Doubt. Okay, that's one meaning of shubuhat that is more known nowadays. Barakallahu feek. But there's another word, there's another meaning for shubuhat that's probably more present. Sorry? Barakallahu feek. Jazakallah khair. So doubtful matters. Meaning something you don't know if it's halal or haram. It's not very clear. You're not 100% sure either, because there's a big difference of opinion between the scholars, the ulama of Islam, and you are not qualified enough to know, and you did not find anyone to give you like a final answer. So you don't know. You heard it's halal, you heard it's haram. Or sometimes the thing itself is halal, but I'll give you an example. So you had $5. You had $5 in your pocket. You had $5 in your pocket. You know that's all you had in your pocket. Okay, and then you enter the masjid and you're doing salat. You sit down for a bit at the masjid, and when you stand up, you're about to leave. You look on your left. There's $5 on the floor, and then you say, "Is that my $5?" You put your hand inside your pocket. You don't find your $5. You don't have it. You lost your $5. So what do you think about that $5 that's on the floor? Yes.
Take it, or if you don't want to take it, put it in the sadaqah box since you're in the masjid.
Okay. Yes.
It's probably yours. It's right beside you, so take it.
Okay. He says it's probably yours. It's right beside you. Probably. But is it certainly yours?
No.
No. Because who knows? Maybe you dropped maybe your $5 fell down outside. Maybe this is not your $5. Maybe the one who was sitting down next to you or somebody else, it was his $5, right? So we don't know for sure, because this is not my house. If it was my house and I'm looking for my $5 and I found $5 on the floor, it's my money. It's inside my territory. But this is not my house. So maybe it's someone else's $5. So here it's like really 50%, and I'm not sure. This is kind of situation of shubha. So it can be a situation where we don't have the right to take it at all, but the least we can say here is that this is what? Shubha. This is doubtful matter. So there is no khilaf, no scholars of ulama here that are involved or second opinion. This is mostly something related to the event, what happened. This $5, where did it come from? You see, is it mine or is it not mine? By the way, just to answer here, just to comment on what the answer of our brother here, he said just take it or put it in the sadaqah box. Okay? Now, let me change the situation a little bit so that it's not tricky, so that it's like clear cut. Now, you don't have $5. You never put $5 in your pocket. You were just at the masjid and then you find $5. What do you do with it? Yes?
Put it in the sadaqah box.
Put it in the sadaqah box. So that's a very common answer. Okay? A lot of people, that's what they say. In reality, no. We don't put it in the sadaqah box. In Islam, we don't have the right to put it in the sadaqah box. What do we do? That's called luqata, the lost item, lost and found item. So we have two options here. Listen to this, very important. We have two options. Either you keep it, you leave it alone. $5, leave it alone. Especially if you're not scared that it's going to, the wind is going to take it or something. Leave it there. Why?
So you don't get
Maybe the owner is going to come back and look for his $5. He was sitting there and maybe, it's not even he dropped it. Maybe he put it on the floor like this and then he forgot to take it. Oh, I forgot my $5. He comes back. So by default, we just don't touch it. Just don't touch it. You found. Now, if you have a feeling that, maybe it's going to get lost. So what do you do here? You can take it, but don't put it in the sadaqah box. No. In Islam, we have the responsibility to try our best to find its owner. تُعَرِّفُهَا سَنَةً كَامِلًا, for 1 year. You have to try. If you take it, that's it. You can leave it. Nobody told you have to take it. But if you take it, you have the responsibility to do your best to try to find the owner for 1 whole year. You see? For 1 whole year. So if we give another example here, you found now a phone in the masjid, not $5. You found a phone in the masjid. What do? You can take it and give it to the Imam or to the person in charge of the masjid. And you say, this is, I found it. Please try to find the owner. Then they're going to make an announcement. Who lost the phone? Please come see us, okay? And they can leave it somewhere in the lost items until somebody shows up, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we don't just take something and put it in the sadaqah box. The ulama, the scholars, they say there are small exceptions. Small exceptions. If it's, something that doesn't have much value. Let's say you find an apple outside. You find an apple outside on the street. It fell down, you just found it. And it's snowy and muddy and everything. You know that an apple, if you leave it like that, what's going to happen to it?
breaks. It breaks.
It's going to get covered by the snow, it's going to get rotten. So this is ifsadul mal. So if somebody's hungry or something, they can take it, wash it and eat it. But if someone says, we are giving it, don't be surprised here. Okay, it might sound crazy, foolish, but it's because we have a lot of khayr, we have a lot of wealth. That's why it sounds foolish for us. But for other people around the world who don't have the luxury we have, these are real situations, okay? Maybe the owner is going to show up and say, I dropped an apple, who took my apple? I'm looking for my apple. And they say, oh, I took it and I ate it. Why did you eat my apple? Then in that case, you should offer him what?
Money.
An equivalent apple. You should buy him another apple or something. You understand? So it's not as simple as, oh, I found something, I put it in the sadaqah box. Why put it in the sadaqah box? Because it's someone else's money. Again, unless we fear that it's going to be lost, then we can take it and do our best, inshallah azza wa jal, to find the owner. We continue here, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, number 3 is to avoid the shubuhat, and this is a zuhd of salama, precaution, prevention. I'd rather not take something if it's doubtful. It's not clearly halal, it's not clearly haram. We call this shubha. Then I prefer not to take it. Yes, sir.
Shaykh, if you take it, let's say for example you took it, would that person in front of Allah on the Qiyamah ask you for that thing? Let's say for example.
Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. I don't know. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, I don't know. But the scholars, the ulama, they say we don't take it. If we take it, we have the responsibility to do what? تعرف بها. سنة كاملة. Yes.
Sheikh, can we get example of the second category
Which one?
of the three classification of
So it says zuhd toward the haram.
second?
Okay. Second one is zuhd toward the halal. Zuhd toward the halal can be someone who prefers not to take too much halal. Because why? Because this is going to create attachment in my heart to the dunya. Attachment to the dunya. So for example, someone says, he has, alhamdulillah, he has money. He has good income. Or he has a good business. Let me give an example of business. Okay, that's because that's more of a relevant example. So somebody is running a business. And his business is running well, mashallah, alhamdulillah, it's enough, you can pay him. Now, eventually, in theory, like it is the case sometimes, he can say, you know what, now I have a good life, I have a good car, but I'm craving a better car. I want to have, a fancy car. I want to have a Ferrari or something. So that's what I want to buy. I want to move to the next level. So that's by default, that's halal. You cannot tell him it's haram to buy that car. Now, what is it that it takes from him? Well, to buy my Ferrari, I will have to increase my opening hours now. My store is not going to be open for 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day. I'll have to work 10 hours a day, 11 hours a day. Why? To make the money so that I can pay that. The problem is, what happens now? If I'm working 5 hours more, what happens?
You get more money.
The problem, I said. Getting more money is not a problem. What's the problem? Attached to life? But what also? حب الدنيا, نعم, very good. So it can be حب الدنيا, نعم. بارك الله فيك. So it's going to be, for sure. It's going to be less time for ibadah, less time for good deeds, less time for silatul rahim, less time for reading the Quran. نعم.
A lot of people they claim that, but I work more for the sake of Allah, so that's ibadah.
So they say what, sorry?
So that's ibadah in itself, because if they claim that they're working for Allah's sake.
Excellent comment, barakallahu feek. By the way, this is a big lie that doing job, dunya job or dunya business, that it's always called ibadah. That's a big lie. That's the religion of what? Of ar-ra'smaliyya, capitalism. But they try to put what? An Islamic smell to it, an Islamic taste, so that it tastes better. They tell you this is amal. The amal, work that is ibadah, is to the point that you can what? Afford to have a decent life, to feed your family, to spend on your family, on their clothes and everything. My children, they need winter jackets. It's very cold. So what do? I have to work few more hours this week to make money for my children jacket, because otherwise it's going to be very cold for them. This is ibadah, yes. If it's done with this intention, it's ibadah. Working more to buy a Ferrari is not ibadah. One has to be foolish to claim that this is ibadah. You understand? So ibadah is talabul halal, seeking the halal, first of all, should not be the haram. That's number one. Number two, and la tashghala, should not prevent me from doing the other more clear cut. How can it be ibadah? That I go work more to pay myself some very nice, great vacation with buffet for a month and everything, to have fun somewhere outside, somewhere around. So I'm doing this every year, twice a year, 3 years, three times a year. And I'm sacrificing Salatul Jama'ah, I don't have time for Salatul Sunnah, I barely have time to do, here we're just assuming the person at least does their 5 salawat, okay? But I don't have time to do any tasbih, any dhikr after my salat. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello? Yes. Yeah, sure, we have in stock, no problem, okay? Okay, so how can this be ibadah when I'm putting on the side the clear ibadah that Islam called clearly ibadah. The Quran calls it ibadah, Rasulullah called it ibadah. So ibadah, as we said, number one, it should be a job or a business or something, has to be halal, number one. Number two is what? We said, and la tashghalani, should not keep me busy from the wajibat, my obligations and everything. And number three, it is ibadah to the limit that I'm doing this for my necessities, al-darurat, as well as my needs, al-hajiyat, responsibilities that Allah Azza wa Jal gave me. Now, the ulama, they used to say, one of the Salafis say, هذا شغل عمل الأبطال طلب الحلال والنفقة على العيال. Seeking halal and spending on your عيال, on your family. You say, this is the work of the heroes. Yes, this is ibadah, definitely, inshallah Azza wa Jal. But making more and more money, expansion, second franchise, third store, fourth store, ibadah, this is capitalism. This is not, I'm not telling you it's haram. I didn't say it's haram to do business, to expand. But I should not be lying to myself, and telling I'm doing ibadah, I'm an abid. That's definitely not true. This is like, the principle. We have a principle, hadith Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, in the authentic hadith, دينار أنفقته في سبيل الله دينار أنفقته على أهله. So he says عليه الصلاة والسلام, a dinar that you spend on for example, on the needy, dinar you spend at the masjid, dinar you spend here. And then he says, alayhi salatu wasalam, dinar anfaqtahu ala ahlika, dinar you spent on your family. He said, which one is better, alayhi salatu wasalam? Which is the best of all these dinars?
The family.
On your family. So if I spend $10 on my family, or $10 to the masjid, or $10 on the orphan, which one is the best here according to the hadith?
Family.
The one I spent on my family. Now, the one who misunderstands this hadith, who doesn't understand because they just want to understand the hadith the way that, goes with their hawa, is going to be a disaster, a catastrophe. Because why would anyone after today spend on the poor and the needy and the orphans in the masjid, right? So, the meaning of the hadith here is not, my son comes to me, can you please buy me the latest, I don't know, what is it now, PS what?
PS5.
5 they have now? Okay, so he says, I have PS4, buy me PS5. Buy me PS5. And my other son, he comes, for example, I have another son, I don't have another son, but if I had another son, he comes, buy me the newest BMW. And I'm going to say, you know what? I know a lot of people that have been coming to me for sadaqah. There's a lot of orphans in our neighborhood, and a lot of fuqara and everything. And the masjid, they need renovations and they can't pay the bills and everything. But you know what? Rasulullah ﷺ, he said what? Best money is what I spend on my family. Here is Ya Ibni, buy your PS5. Here's a new car, new fancy car for you. One has to be foolish to understand the hadith like this and to think that this is what? This is Islam. Okay? So the meaning of the hadith here is what? It's talking about the hajiyat, the needs. That, again, as I said before, if my son needs a winter coat he doesn't have, and there's somewhere else an orphan that needs also a winter coat, but I can only buy one, I can only afford to buy one, the one that I spent on my son is better. That's the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ, because I'm the first person to be concerned with him. It's my specific wajibun aini. I have to be the one taking care of him. It's not like spoiling and spending, on the excessive on the dunya, and then I say what? Nafsi awla, that's what Islam is. Like how is it that people, subhanAllah, they bring such, a selfish interpretation of life, and then they try to make it look what? Islamic. Like this is what Islam says, But again, this is when people, they live in a culture of consumerism and everything, and then they have to find a justification to it. They have to make it look, it's the right way of doing things. So, is it clear? بعد ذلك قال هنا وقد اختلف الناس هل يستحق اسم الزاهد من زهد في الحرام خاصة ولم يزهد في فضول المباحات أم لا? He said the ulama, they have a difference of opinion. See, difference of opinion is not always about is this salat valid or invalid. The ulama, even the actions of the heart, أعمال القلوب, they have debates. It's part of the fiqh. Even this is part of the fiqh. He said they have a difference of opinion, the ulama. If someone has zuhd, detachment from the haram, but they don't have detachment from what we call here fudul al-mubahat. What is fudul al-mubahat? Mubah is halal. What is halal? We call this mubah. What is fudul? The extra, excessive, fadl. Meaning, again, before, let's go back to the same example. I have a winter coat, and it's a good winter coat. Good quality, alhamdulillah. It does the job. تقيكم الحر وتقيكم بأسكم أي كما قال العلماء تقيكم البرد. It protects me from cold. Alhamdulillah, it's comfortable and everything. Now I go to the mall and I find another coat. It's very nice. And it's also a bit expensive, a bit pricey. There's a brand on it. Oh, I like it, I have a white coat and I would like to buy a black coat also. I buy this one. 2 months after, they go. Coats are on special. There's another coat that's green. And I want to buy it because it looks nice. You call this what? Fudul al-mubahat. Like you're going to the mubah and the halal here, but you're starting to go a bit too far because this is like the extra. Like why do you need all of this? Unless there's a reason. By the way, I'm not saying at all. Nobody said that. We don't have in Islam like a line threshold where no, this car is haram to buy it and this car is halal. Okay, so Someone can ask me, so is it haram in Islam to own a BMW? Nobody told you it's haram. If it's halal, it's halal. But we have questions here. We have questions. First question, what do you need? What do you need to buy it? What do you need to do to buy it? If someone, mashallah, millions, multi-millionaire, buying a BMW for them is almost like me buying this coffee here. Okay, it's just like, just cash. Give me the car. Alright, that's not necessarily a big problem for them. Because they can afford to get that, and it's not going to affect much their ibadah. They don't have to sacrifice their life for that car. It's not preventing them from doing what? Sadaqah. They have lots of money. That's what they put on the BMW, and at the same time they spend so much fi sabilillah, left and right, helping. Alhamdulillah, especially if there's a need for them. Sometimes it's an issue of what? Of the social status. Because it's like an investment for him. Because he's such a wealthy businessman, and he only, goes with business people like him. And that's why it makes him run his business better. Because people, they look at the fancy car, they trust him in business. While if he came, with a used, very simple car, people, they're gonna say, I do business with you for millions of dollars, it doesn't really add up. So for such a person, it's a what? It's a justified thing. They don't have to feel necessarily what? That, they are getting away from. But there's another type of person. Again, we didn't tell them it's haram. I didn't say it's haram. But now a reflection needs to be done. Now, I buy the BMW, it means I'm going to work for it for the next 10 years. Especially nowadays. Nowadays, how does it work? Buy, pay later. True or false? That's why back in the days, fancy cars used to be for wealthy people. Back in the days, when you see a fancy car, this is someone who is rich. Not the case anymore. Nowadays, you can buy like fancy car if you have good credit. That's all that matters. Even if you don't have money, by the way. Because buy it now, what? Pay it later. So I'm going to work for, I didn't make that money yet. I'm going to work for that money. So by buying that car that is much bigger than my situation, what do I do now? I'm going to be stuck for years to come, that I will have to work hard to pay for my car. So I cannot come to Salatul Jama'ah. Sorry, I'm very busy. I have to work a lot. Sadaqah, I don't have. There are people who make a good income. Believe it or not, there are people in this country, Muslims in this country, that have a good job, they make a good income, but at the end of every month they have no money left. Why they have no money left?
Large houses, large cars.
So a large house, large car, so everything is credit, so everything is pre-programmed. So they're taking money from, he already signed up for, he has big income, but what he signed up for already is bigger or equal to
His income.
what he made. So a person like this, subhanallah, someone who has a great income and cannot afford to do sadaqah. Like end of every month he said, I can't, I can't. I would love to help, but I don't have. Like, look, my bank account, I have nothing left. So which kind of a life is that for a believer? إذا كان ستشغل الإنسان عن طاعة الله عز وجل, and the person is going to be so invested, so concerned, because my whole life is around that one car or that one house. So that's why Islam teaches us to live according to our capabilities. We don't go bigger. As we said, that's why there's no standard. Like when someone has a fancy car, it doesn't mean they are zahid or they are not zahid. It means nothing. All depends what's their what did they sacrifice? Like what is all their life now just about this car or about this house or about something? That's a different story. So he says here, they're talking about the one who is involved in fudulul mubahat. He goes in the extra mubahat, but he leaves haram. He never touches haram. They say, does he deserve the title zahid or he doesn't deserve the title zahid? Is it enough to leave the haram that we can call you zahid? Or no, he says there's difference of opinion. The opinion of Az-Zuhri as well as Ibn Uyayna, that you can be called a zahid as long as you stay away from the haram. You can be called a zahid. And the second opinion here is the opinion of many of the عارفين. Imam Ibn Rajab رحمه الله تعالى يقول لا يستحق اسم الزهد بدون الزهد في فضول المباح. that another opinion here of some of the ulama and the ubad is that one has to stay away from the excessive mubah, fudul mubah, to be called what? To be called a zahid. وقال أبو سليمان الداراني اختلفوا علينا في الزهد بالعراق. Listen to this one also, is interesting. Abu Sulaiman al-Darani, he says that in Iraq, people of Iraq, the scholars and the worshippers and the pious people in Iraq in his time, every one of them is presenting his own way of defining what a zuhd is. فَقِيلَ الزُّهْدُ فِي تَرْكِ لِقَاءِ النَّاسِ. Some of them they said, who can explain this to me? Some of them they said, he says here that some of people of Iraq in his time, they said, zuhd is to stay away from meeting people. What does that mean? Sorry?
Less mingling.
Less mingling, less socializing. So that also can be a form of attachment to the dunya. That someone, yes, we are social creation, that's our nature, we are social beings, we like to be around people. But if someone always wants to be with people, always wants to be with people, the ulama, they said this can have negative effects. Min mafasidi al-khulta. When we spend too much time with people, what happens? What's the impact of that?
Negative.
How?
Sins.
What's the negative? Sorry?
Sin.
Sins. So if I spend too much time with people, usually it's going to be a bit too much talking. It's going to have other people. So it's for sure there's going to be ghiba involved somehow, right? Because I'm going again, this is part of fudul al-mubah. If I see my friends for some time, every day or some, like a limited time, we talk, we have decent talk, and then salam alaikum, that's one thing. Now if I just sit like some people, they go like back home and everything, they go to coffee shops like 5 hours a day, just sitting. Just to sit in the coffee shop and talk and talk. He has to find something to talk about. It's not easy, like to talk to somebody for 5 hours. Like it's not an easy thing to do necessarily, especially if you meet that person all the time. So what are you going to talk about? At a certain point, it's going to be what? Ghiba, namima, backbiting. Okay, so it's going to start with the laghu, talking nonsense, like too much joking and too much, and then it's going to get into what? Ghiba. Yes. Naam, jazakallah khair. So you might do bad deeds because they do it. So it's bad influence of people as well. Yes.
It's gonna have negative effects, like on the deed, like prayer. You might pray late because of them.
Barakallahu feek. You might be late because of them for salat, for prayer. So that's excellent. So you see here, we're not saying that don't be with other people. We did say don't just be alone in life. No, but we have to know where to set what? The limit, the boundary for everything. Even the things that are part of our life as human beings, we have to know where to put a limit to them, because otherwise if it becomes too much, it's going to affect another area in our life. So he said here, some of them they said, az-zuhd is zuhd in socializing, that you don't do too much socializing. Some other ones they said, minhum man qala fi tarki ash-shahawat. Another opinion, some of them they said, az-zuhd is to stay away from the shahawat, temptations and desires, material life. And some of them they said, fi tarki shiba. Some of them they said, zuhd is not to eat too much until you're full. That every time you eat, you don't get full. You eat and then you stop before you get full. That's what az-zuhd is. And then he says, Abu Sulaiman al-Darani, he said these are different definitions. وَأَنَا أَذْهَبُ إِلَىٰ أَنَّ الزُّهْدَ فِي تَرْكِ مَا يَشْغَلُكَ عَنِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. He says, as for me, I have a more comprehensive, a better definition. He says, az-zuhd, it is to stay away from anything that keeps you busy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything that keeps you what? Away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what that thing is. مَا يَشْغَلُكَ عَنِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Anything that drags you too far from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is what? Staying away from that, being detached from that is az-zuhd. And that's why Imam Ibn Rajab says, وَهَذَا الَّذِي قَالَهُ حَسَنٌ وَهُوَ يَجْمَعُ جَمِيعَ مَعَانِ الزُّهْدِ وَأَقْسَامِهِ. He said, this is very beautiful words. Imam Ibn Rajab, he says that's a great definition that contains inside, that summarizes all the forms of az-zuhd. Now let's move to the next section here. Very interesting, please listen to this one. Now we're going to talk about the value of the dunya. What did we say before about the value of the dunya in Islam? Who can remind us? What did we say before? Yes.
Lesser than the wing of a mosquito.
Okay, lesser than the wing of a mosquito. So that's in the hadith for Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. What else? Harisun ad dunya. Like in what is the value of the dunya in Islam? How is dunya presented in the Quran? So that's the example. يضع يده في اليم أو أصبعه في اليم. When somebody puts their finger inside the ocean. Yes.
It's described in like a negative way, something not good.
It's described, sorry, as?
Like something temporary.
Something temporary, and then you said what?
Not good.
And not good.
It just has a really like low value compared to after here.
So, yes, تفضل. متاع الغرور. نعم بارك الله فيك. So everything that you have mentioned here, it summarizes. So we said it before, and we mentioned the ayat already, and we said it. You know, this is not me presenting to you something or Imam Ibn Rajab making up his own stuff. This is a very clear message in the Quran. One has to be really materialistic to try to deny this and try to play with the message of Islam. It's very clear in the Quran that dunya is not the greatest thing. It's not the most positive thing. It has mostly a negative connotation. اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا. And also we said before وَفَرِحُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيا فِي الْآخِرَةِ إِلَّا مَتَاعٌ. Always the dunya is being compared to the akhirah, the dunya being as the one that doesn't have value, that should not be looked up to, that doesn't have a great status in Islam. Quran is extremely clear on this. If someone says the opposite, means either they are just lying, or it means they never really read the Quran. Maybe they read the words, but they were never thinking about it. They were never understanding what the Quran is saying. It's clear. It's not like istinbat or trying to understand. Now, what is this dunya that's wrong? That's bad. Please listen to this, because this is probably the information that you can hardly find outside this book. Okay? He says, واعلم أن الذم الوارد في الكتاب والسنة للدنيا ليس هو راجعا إلى زمانها الذي هو الليل والنهار المتعاقبان إلى يوم القيامة. He says, when Allah Azza wa Jal lowers the status of the dunya, this is not talking about the dunya which is the time of the dunya, meaning the day and the night that are going to be what? Continuous. This is a continuous cycle until the end of times. Layl wa nahar, layl wa nahar. So somebody might understand, dunya is not good, means the day and the night. Life is not good. Life itself is not good. He said, no, that's not the meaning of dunya that is being what? Lowered. In the Quran, he says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ جَعَلَهُمَا خِلْفَةً لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَن يَذَّكَّرَ أَوْ أَرَادَ شُكُورًا. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla has created the day and the night for a purpose, for a noble purpose. The day and the night is the time where we can what? Either remember Allah Azza wa Jal and yadhakkar, like we have for salat, the day and night, they bring us for the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Come do salat, come do salat, come do salat, maghrib, fajr. أو أراد شكورا, or the one who wants to be grateful to Allah Azza wa Jal. He wants to yashkur ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal. We have hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He accepts the tawbah musi'ul layl bin nahar. The tawbah of the one who sinned at night, he can repent in the morning. And the one who committed the sin in the morning, Allah Azza wa Jalla accept his tawbah at night. So the time itself is a location for ibadah of Allah Azza wa Jalla. It can be a great thing. So when Allah talks about the dunya, He's not talking about time, like dunya as a life in terms of time. And that's why he says here, وَقَالَ مُجَاهِدْ مَا مِنْ يَوْمٍ إِلَّا يَقُولُ ابْنَ آدَمْ قَدْ دَخَلْتُ عَلَيْكَ الْيَوْمَ وَلَنْ أَرْجِعَ إِلَيْكَ بَعْدَ الْيَوْمِ فانظر ماذا تعمل في فإذا انقضى ثم طوي ثم يختم عليه فلا يفك حتى يكون الله هو الذي يفضه يوم القيامة. Here Mujahid, he says, every day that comes, every day when we wake up in the morning, every new day, that day is telling us, O you son of Adam, I am a new day that has showed up, and I will not come back until the day of judgment. I'm here only for one day, not one day. And he says, at the end of every day, our actions are written inside of that day. The day is closed like this. There's a stamp on it, there's a seal that nobody can open until Allah Azza wa Jalla will open it on the day of judgment. And that's why the day itself is calling us. Watch out, be careful, what do you do in me? Benefit from me for your akhirah. So it's not that dunya in itself, its existence is bad. Because why would Allah Azza wa Jal create us in something that's bad anyway, right? So we are in the dunya, and dunya can be a great opportunity because it is the mazra'a. It is kind of like the factory of the akhirah. Where do we manufacture our akhirah? Where can we get our way to Jannah? Is through the dunya. And he says also, وليس الذم راجعا إلى مكان الدنيا الذي هو الأرض التي جعلها الله لبني آدم مهادا وسكنا ولا إلى ما أودعه الله فيها من الجبال والبحار ولا إلى ما أنبته فيها من الشجر والزرع ولا ما بثه من الحيوانات وغير ذلك. He says also, when Allah Azza wa Jal talks bad about the dunya, this is not a reference to the space of the dunya, which is the earth, the mountains, sama, the animals, the trees. That's not the dunya that Allah Azza wa Jal is saying that it's a bad thing. Because that also that it's mentioned in the Quran that's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal أنعم يمتن على عباده. In many ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that He gave us the ard, He gave us al-jibal وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ وَالْجِبَالَ أَكْنَانًا, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is ni'mah. And dunya, when you say dunya is bad, it's not about the animals, right? So if you see someone says like someone looks at a cow or looks at a cat or something, and he says, oh mashallah, beautiful, and someone says, oh this dunya has no value. Okay, that's not the meaning here of the dunya, because that's all of this is from the ni'am of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بما فيها من المنافع, because it has useful things, and also بما فيها من الاعتبار والاستدلال على وحدانية صانعه وقدرته سبحانه وتعالى, because all of this creation also, they are signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that can help us work on increasing our tawheed, our knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. How do we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We can know Allah Azza wa Jal through His creation subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these are ayat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِنَّمَا الذَّنْبُ. So what is it the dunya? What is it in the dunya that's bad now? When Allah Azza wa Jal says that the dunya is bad, dunya is dangerous, dunya is low, what is it? He says here, sorry? You got a question? Okay, I thought you had a question. قال هنا وإنما الذم راجع إلى أفعال بني آدم الواقعة في الدنيا. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He talks low, when He talks bad about the dunya, that the dunya is low and everything, well, this is a reference to the actions of Banu Adam, the actions of mankind that they do in this dunya. Because He says here, لأن غالبها واقع على غير الوجه الذي تحمد عاقبته. Because most of the actions of mankind in this dunya are wrong actions. Do we agree on this? Most of the actions of Banu Adam, of mankind in this dunya, they're doing the wrong thing. They're going the wrong way. They do the wrong choice, the poor choice in their dunya. They don't know how to really benefit from their dunya for their akhirah. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking bad about this dunya, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hadid, ayah 20, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في الأموال والأولاد إلى آخر الآية. Allah Azza wa Jal, He describes the dunya as it is, not as it should be. How is dunya for most people? He says subhanahu wa ta'ala, dunya for most people, in terms of their actions, it is la'ib, playing. So what do people do in this life? Most mankind, what do they do? La'ib, they play. Lahmun, entertainment. Zinatun, what is zina? Beauty, like decoration. Right? I want to decorate, I want to do something beautiful, I want to do something attractive. وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ. What is تَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ? I'm better, I have better, I have a degree, I got a better mark than you, my business is running better than your business, I have more followers than you do. Okay? تفاخر. And he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَتَكَاثُرٌ فِي الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَوْلَادِ. What is takathur? Takathur is multiplication. تكثر. More and more and more and more. I have this, I should get more of this. I should buy another one. When there's like Boxing Day and all these like Black Fridays, everything. Do people go to the mall to buy what they need?
No.
Do they have like a list? This is what I need.
Sometimes.
I don't have, and I need a new thing because I don't have, and like unfortunately.
Most of the time they just go because they want to buy their own stuff.
Barakallahu feek. So sometimes they get what they need, but most of the time they just go just to acquire more things, just to acquire. It's like I worked, I made money, so I want to spend that money. I want to turn that money into goods. I just want to feel like I have more. The love of what? حب التملك. Just I love when I have more things. Takathur. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla told us in the Quran Al-Kareem. We know Surah At-Takathur. What is it? ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر. What is ألهاكم? What is ألهاكم? Distracted. Barakallahu fik. Excellent. So, distracted, you are distracted by takathur. You are so busy with takathur حتى زرتم المقابر, until the day when you visited the graves, according to one of the aqwal huna in tafsir, meaning our death. When we die, then we realize, oh, I was so busy, I was so distracted with like getting more and more takathur. I just have more. Why? Just because I feel like having more. It's better. I feel good when I have more things. Then, in reality, I had nothing for my akhirah. I did not prepare much for my akhirah. My sahifa of a'mal, my registry of actions, was pretty poor. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so as we mentioned in the ayah here in Surah Al-Hadid, He says, وَانْقَسَمَ بَنُو آدَمَ فِي الدُّنْيَا إِلَىٰ قِسْمَيْنِ. Banu Adam, mankind, there are two groups. The main group, or the first group, concerning the akhirah, مَنْ أَنْكَرَ أَنْ يَكُونَ لِلْعِبَادِ بَعْدَ الدُّنْيَا دَارٌ لِلثَّوَابِ وَالْعِقَابِ. So you have the first group of people, of human beings, those that have denied the akhirah. They don't believe in the akhirah. They don't believe that there's a second life after our death, and that during that life we will be accountable for our actions. And these are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He described when He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions those people who do not hope to meet Allah Azza wa Jal. They don't hope to meet Allah because they did not prepare for it. They did not prepare for that meeting, so they're not really thinking about it. وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيا وَطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. They are very comfortable, very happy with the dunya. They are, like they said, this is the life. And they are in the situation of غفلة. وَهَؤُلَاء هَمُّهُمْ التَّمَتُّعُ بِالدُّنْيا وَاغْتِنَامُ لَذَّاتِهَا قَبْلَ الْمَوْتِ. These people, their main concern is to enjoy the dunya as much as possible before they die. Because they don't believe in the akhirah. So if they don't believe in the akhirah, they say the only moment is now. Like they say, life is too short. They say this, right? They say life is too short. They write it. Some people, they have a t-shirt that says life is too short, like this. So when they say life is too short, for you as a Muslim, you're expecting them right after to say what? So get ready for the akhirah. No, but they say life is too short, so enjoy it as much as you can. Quickly, like right now. The sooner the better. Enjoy it as much as you can. So we agree on the beginning. So even the kafir, he knows that life is too short. Even if, subhanAllah, even someone who's a billionaire, he can afford everything. Somebody can afford. There are people that have so much money, they can pretty much afford almost anything you can think of in this dunya. Sorry? They don't know what to do with it sometimes, but at the same time, can they really enjoy everything? Can you?
No.
How long are you going to live in this world? How long? You have billions of dollars, but what's the most you get? How much? You're going to live for a century? That's assuming you're going to be healthy until your last day. But how long are you going to live? Can anyone visit the whole world? Like some people, they like tell, I like to explore the world. Can anyone like visit the whole world? Can anyone have the time to go everywhere in this world? Visit all the beautiful places? No. So, I was reading, and so even if you have a lot of money, I was reading a few years ago, I remember just right now, when Obama, he was the president of the United States, okay? When he was not president anymore, they said one of his achievements is that he was the first president to visit all the states, I believe, except 2. So even as a president of his country, he can take, anytime he can take the phone and say, I'm going to that place, okay? Even as the president, and he doesn't have to pay like for plane tickets and for hotels. He doesn't have to be concerned with that. They can just say, I just want to go visit. But he didn't get to visit what? His own country. So having the money, having the resources, in the end, life is too short. We don't have the time to enjoy it, all of it, even if we wanted to. So that's why Allah Azza wa Jalla is telling us about the akhirah. قال الله عز وجل والذين كفروا يتمتعون ويأكلون كما تأكل الأنعام والنار مثوى لهم. Allah Azza wa Jalla says that the kafirin, they eat and they enjoy life. Like the an'am, like animals. And in the end they will end up in Jahannam, iyadha billah. But animals, they are better than them because animals have no taklif. They don't have responsibility. They don't have to obey and to do salat. They have no taklif. They have no basically Jannah for them in the akhirah or an-nar. ومن هؤلاء من كان يأمر بالزهد في الدنيا لأنه يرى أن الاستكثار منها يوجب الهم والغم ويقول كلما كثر التعلق بها تألمت النفس بمفارقتها عند الموت. Now it's interesting. He says even some of the people who are kafirin, they don't believe in the akhirah, but even among those people, some people, they were smart and wise enough to advise them to basically choose for themselves and to advise others not to enjoy too much the dunya. Why? They said because enjoying too much the dunya is the reason for concern and for what? For problems. That's like we said before. These are the people that they call themselves minimalists nowadays. Some people, they believe in minimal lifestyle. They say, I want to have what?
A decent lifestyle.
The simplest. So if you go to their home, you find what? Table, simple chairs, very, very, very basic things. They say, why do they do this? They don't say, I'm going to Jannah, I'm going to Akhirah. They do this because they believe that when you have a lot of things, emotionally you're going to suffer. It's not the best thing. It's a source of problems, which is true. Like we said before, by the way, there are some people, they are very wealthy. We spoke about the BMW before. There are people who are multi-millionaires and they buy very simple cars. They buy what? They ride very simple, basic cars. Why? They say because if I buy, what happens, if I buy very fancy car, what happens? If you have very fancy car, even if you have the money to buy it. Yes?
Shaykh, all the cars are the same, they drive.
So all the cars, to a certain extent, they're the same, okay? They drive and everything. But what happens also, when someone has a fancy car? I'm not talking here about halal, haram, okay? I didn't say it's haram to buy a nice car. I never said this. I'm just saying that we should be conscious, we should be aware of the negative aspect of it. Yes? Barakallahu fiqh. He has to care about it. Okay, he has to care about it. There's a difference between someone who has like a, let's say, very simple car, very simple car, it rides well and everything, and between someone who just got a super fancy car. So it's snow in Canada, it's mud, and it's like, oh, you gotta be very careful, you don't want any mud to get into the car. Be careful, please, when you sit down inside, okay? And you left some marks. I want it to look very nice, clean. Yes.
He gets too attracted to the car, he's gonna spend lots of time driving it.
So gets too attracted to the car, yes? Sorry? Jealousy. Barakallahu fiqh. That's an excellent point. So people, they will look at you now. You are distinguished, you're special. A lot of people will be jealous of you. Yes.
If someone's driving like a bad car, probably nothing's gonna happen to you. If you're driving a rich car, someone's gonna rob you soon.
So, barakallahu fiqh. So it's gonna attract what? Robbers, gonna attract problems in a lot of situations. Yes.
So like, get to a fancy car, like, higher than everyone.
So you think you're higher than everyone, so it's not good also for your mood. You might become arrogant, okay? So there are many examples here. That's why, by the way, here we're not even talking about Islam here. We're talking about, as we said here, there's a type of people that they don't even believe in the akhirah. They don't believe in the hereafter. They're not Muslimin, okay? They're not mu'mineen, but they still have the decency to say that it's better to have a minimal lifestyle. Why? They say because it's less headache in life. That's why, for example, they say, if you go online and you read like advice for travelers and everything, they'll tell you when you travel to a place that's not your hometown, you don't know the place, you travel, they say, to some countries, even for tourism and everything. They tell you, watch out, just blend in with the people. Don't show your goods. Or for women, they tell them don't dress with like jewelry and everything, because what happens here? It will attract, you will get scammed. Very good point. You will get scammed something, so you attract the robbers. You get scammed. You go to buy something, and people, what do they do sometimes? They overprice it. They give you double the price, because now everybody sees you as a wealthy person. Those famous people in Hollywood and the media and everything. Sometimes people, they follow them. They wish they were what? They were independent like you. Like you could just walk outside in the street. Nobody knows you. Nobody what? Cares about you. But then everybody, if they go, so many people want to take pictures from them. But also some people, they are what? They have some amal in them. They have some attachment. Maybe I can become his friends. So it's gonna attract, all the fraudsters, all the people who fake friends. Barakallahu fiqh. See, you people, mashallah, are very smart. So it attracts fake friends, people who want to become your friend, and they're gonna smile to you. They're gonna say, "I love you so much, and you're a great person." But because they have a plan, they are just waiting for you. And there are some people to the point, we know stories like this. Last time I was reading one, happens a lot around the time, but last time it was in the news. Someone, he took his own mother, I think, or father or grandfather, I don't remember. He took them on a cruise trip, like basically he took them they rented a ship and everything, and he took them very far in the ocean. He said, you're my grandpa, I love you and everything. And then he came back after he called the emergency, whatever. They came, they saved him, they took him to hospital, and the grandpa died, was drowned. And then later on, they arrested the guy because they found out what? It was all a plan. He basically planned to kill his grandfather just so that he could take the inheritance. So you see, at a certain point, someone can even start worrying about the closest people around you. Like, are they going to do something bad to me? So that's why many of the people who are not even mu'mineen, they prefer to have what? A minimal lifestyle. They say it's better for the mind, it's better for the heart, it's better for the emotions, better for my being. And he says here, al-qism al-thani. Now group number 2. We spoke about group number 1. Group number 1 of people are those who don't believe in the akhirah. Group number 2 of human beings. How much do we have before adhan, inshallah? 5 minutes. Okay. القسم الثاني من يقر بدار بعد الموت للثواب والعقاب وهم المنتسبون إلى شرائع المرسلين. Now you have the second type of mankind, those who believe in the akhirah. And these are usually the followers of the prophets and messengers. So in our case, they are the followers of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wa as-salam. So they believe overall. Muslims, except munafiqeen, but Muslims believe overall that there is what? Akhirah. Any Muslim you talk to them, say, inshallah, yeah, after maut, inshallah, we hope to go to Jannah, inshallah. They say, I'm doing this, inshallah, Allah will give me ajr for it, inshallah. So we believe overall in the akhirah. But are all Muslims on the same level of faith?
No. Probably not.
Certainly not. So not all Muslims are on the same level. Allah Azza wa Jal, in the Quran al-Kareem, He mentions to us 3 levels of Muslimin. That's in the Quran. ثم أورثنا الكتاب الذين اصطفينا من عبادنا فمنهم ظالم لنفسه وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, number one, lowest level of Muslimin are ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. Those who are wrong toward, they are unjust toward themselves. Meaning they're not the most practiced, they're not the Muslims who take their religion the most serious. So they have a lot of sins, there's a lot of things in Islam they don't practice, okay? So these are ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. And then he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ. Next level is muqtasid. Muqtasid is the one who always does what? The minimum required. Tell me what I have to do and what I should avoid. I'm just going to do it and then assalamu alaikum. 5 times 5 salat, I do my 5 salat. Zakat, I'm going to pay my zakat. Ramadan, I'm fasting my Ramadan. Birrul walidain, I'm going to take care of my parents. For all the wajibat. Haram, same thing. This is haram, I don't touch it. The rest, apart from that, not really concerned about being the best believer, the highest believer. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ. Then there are those who are racing toward the good deeds. They believe they are in a race toward the akhirah. He wants to be the best. The moment he has an opportunity to do amal salih, he will be very happy. He's going to do it. He wants to be the best ever possible. So he says here, فالظالم لنفسه هم الأكثرون منهم وأكثرهم وقف مع زهرة الدنيا وزينتها فأخذها من غير وجهها فاستعملها في غير وجهها وصارت الدنيا أكبر همه لها يغضب وبها يرضى. Now the first level of Muslimin, they are ظالم لنفسه, and he says that through history these are usually the majority of people. ظالم لنفسه. So these people, they believe in the akhirah. They do believe in the akhirah. They don't deny the akhirah. They know there's akhirah. Allah Azza wa Jalla will question us. They know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Jannah is better or akhirah is better than the dunya. However, in their daily life, they are mostly focused on the beauty of ad-dunya. Zahrati ad-dunya wa zinatiha. So they have no problem often taking it the wrong way. Taking what dunya the wrong way. Min ghayri wajhiha. And using the dunya also the wrong way. Spending the dunya he has money, doesn't like that money is halal. That's not his biggest concern. It's okay if you know it's halal, but there's a bit of haram in it, it's okay. And then spending in the haram, it's also okay. He doesn't say that it's halal, he doesn't say it's, but he kind of busy. He's just too busy with that. And he says here, وَصَارَتِ الدُّنْيَا أَكْبَرَ هَمِّهِ. So dunya has become his main concern, his main thing, his main goal, his main purpose. He believes in the akhirah. He knows this. Yeah, inshallah, may Allah give us Jannah, inshallah. Ya akhi, make dua, inshallah. You're going for Hajj. Oh, my grandfather, you're going for Hajj. Make dua for me, inshallah, that I go in Jannah. That I go to Jannah, inshallah. So he believes in Jannah. But he is ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ. So, again, as we said, his main concern in his daily life is what? Dunya. Getting the dunya. He gets upset for the dunya and he gets happy for the dunya. He can hate you for dunya. He can hate you. It happens sometimes. Very, very weird, very strange. That happens. He prays with you at the masjid. You see him. You've known him for many years and everything. And then one day for $100, he's gonna say, "Wallah, I'm not talking to you anymore. I don't want to see you anymore after today. He doesn't return your salam." Or he would love you for the dunya. You helped him, you borrowed him some money, you become the best. You become the best. I'll give you here an anecdote, inshallah, before we stop for the adhan bi'idhnillah azza wa jal. I know a brother, he moved once to a place. It was like a new neighborhood. And there was one person that was supposedly religious. Supposedly. He doesn't say salam alaikum to him. He's new. He doesn't give him any importance. And then this brother, he told me that, I was speaking to someone else. He said, why is it that person, he never tells me salam alaikum. Like he ignores me completely. He's like, he's a very arrogant person. He's like, but wait until he sees your car. Because this brother has, mashallah, a fancy car. He had a very good job. It's like, wait until he sees me. He's like, come on. It's like, wallahi, you're gonna see. He didn't know which car he had. So he told me one day he saw me coming out of my car and he had this big smile on his face. Assalamu alaikum akhi. This is what? Is someone يحب للدنيا يرضى للدنيا ويبغض للدنيا. What frustrates him is related to dunya. So this is not someone who denies the akhirah. He doesn't say I don't believe in the akhirah. But his daily life revolves around the dunya. And inshaAllah Azza wa Jal bi'idnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will continue with the second portion of the study of this hadith. And as you will see, inshallah, Azza wa Jal, there's lots of very interesting information, very beneficial, inshallah. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.